Other people who are present here tonight, I'm really happy to see all the members of the public here and clergy, because I think these are matters that are equal importance to you. Before we get started, though, I'd like to just recognize a few people in the office. First, Prosecutor Grace Park, Union County. Assistant Jerry Green. Union County Freeholder Amy Carter. Union County Freeholder Amy Estrada. I believe I saw her right there. Plainfield Mayor Adrian Knapp. Councilwoman Diane Tolliver. And Director Wright. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to discuss, as I said, matters of great importance to Prosecutor Park and Director Riley. There is an initiative, a new initiative from the Attorney General's Office, as well as a new program that Prosecutor Park and Director Riley have partnered on. She's also partnered on that with a number of other police chiefs, but in this Plainfield, that will be the primary focus this evening. The way we're going to proceed tonight is Prosecutor Park and Director Ryan will make a presentation shortly after a few opening remarks from several individuals. Both Prosecutor Park and Director Ryan will make their presentations. We only have the venue for this is supposed to schedule at 8:30. I know we got a few minutes late start. We would definitely like to have sufficient time at the end for questions. I think both of these issues, the use of force, the law enforcement directive, as well as the body-worn camera policy, from what we've seen, it generates a lot of questions, and we'd like to answer as many questions as we can on those subjects. So without further ado, if I could, Prosecutor Park.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's really great to see everyone here. I first want to introduce myself because I want to give everybody a sense of who I am, what I do, what the mission of our office is, and then talk about what we're going to talk about tonight. My name is Grace Park. I'm the acting prosecutor in Union County. I was appointed about 2.5 years ago to serve as prosecutor, and basically what I do is I'm the chief law enforcement officer in the county, and I also run an office of about 70 lawyers and 70 detectives. And what our office does is we work with the local police departments, which is like the Plainfield Police Division, but we also have 21 other municipalities in the county that we work with as well. And we, one, prosecute the cases that the local police departments bring to us. So if there's a robbery case, for instance, that case would be investigated by the Plainfield Police Division, and then it would come to our office. And then we would take that case to grand jury and to trial. And we're going to actually explain what that process is. And then two, I also develop policies across the county to direct our law enforcement officers and our chiefs as to what the general policies in this county are, and make sure there's consistency and justice at the end of the day. So I just want to give you an overview of what I do. And then also I wanted to talk a little bit about why we're here tonight. Well, first of all, we didn't invite the general public to this meeting. We invited only community leaders. And there was a reason for that. As community leaders, you're our liaisons with the community. And the topic of law enforcement in the community is, these days, a very controversial one. And we wanted to talk with all of you, people who really care about the community, who work with the community, who have congregations or run organizations in the community, to start a conversation about law enforcement and its relationship with the community. And we also want to talk about several new initiatives, because I think in the last year and a half or so, maybe 2 years, with incidents like Ferguson and Gardner, I think law enforcement has gone through some self-reflection, frankly. We've looked at ourselves and we said, what is it about us that the public is not trusting anymore? Because that's the perception of the media and nationwide. And there are a couple things. One, I think trust develops out of transparency, and accountability. And I think what we've done in the last year or so is that we've developed some initiatives that we hope to assure the public and the community of that transparency and that accountability. That's what we're here to talk about tonight. So one, we're going to talk about a body camera pilot program that, along with the Plainfield Police Director, we're happy to announce that all uniformed officers in Plainfield will be equipped with body cameras, and you'll actually see a body camera and you'll see a video of what the footage would look like. Two, we're going to talk a little bit about use of force with the officers, incidents of use of force, and police-involved shootings, and how those get investigated by our office. Those are thoroughly investigated by the prosecutor's office, and then reviewed by the Attorney General's office. And I want to talk a little bit about that process, and just give you a sense of what happens, what are the levels of review, and why do we do things a certain way. I think oftentimes the reason people get upset and emotional about certain issues is that they don't understand why. Why is it that you're not giving us information now? Why is it that you're not telling us X, Y, and Z? So we're going to try to answer those questions why. We're going to do this presentation, and then we're going to reserve, even though Tim has restricted us to 8:30, we're going to reserve some time for questions to engage in a dialogue. We want to answer the questions to the best of our ability, and we want to get a sense of what your concerns are and try to address them. So I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank the dignitaries for being here, for supporting these initiatives. And I thank you for your engagement. And with that, I will turn it over to Senator Green.
Greg, you did such a great job. I mean, just to sit that down and just learn a little bit more about the county. My name is Senator Jerry Green. I live in the city of Plainfield. It's obvious this is an important issue, but also I've been on top of this issue statewide. Currently, we do have some laws on the books that allow a municipality not only to have cameras in cars, but also individuals with those cameras. Currently, we have not taken to another level. It's mandatory all over the state. So I'm going to spend this afternoon listening to you, listening to your concerns. As part of leadership in the assembly, we have the speaker, majority leader, and speaker pro tem, which three of us decide what really gets posted. And I like to feel that county union has done such a great job over the years. If you recall, just 10, 15 years ago, you took the lead on the racial profile. Now you don't hear about this anymore. We've done it right. With Grace and her staff. By the way, she told me all the Grace things. But the reality is that I think Union County can take the lead also on this issue. So we have such a good ministry in this municipality. You name it, we have it. The bottom line is that it's more than wearing the camera. The biggest problem I'm running into as I move around the whole state, the speaker asked me to take on this as well as housing, is to trust. Because if we don't trust each other, I don't care what laws you pass, it's not going to happen. So again, I'm here today. Your message will definitely get back to Trent tomorrow. I had staff make sure that some of the things that we're talking about, I have to respond to it. I want to make sure that I say it the right way and make sure it's correct. Currently, there are some pushbacks because some municipalities feel they just don't need it. But you never know when you're past through your municipality. You never know when this might happen. And one of the things I want to leave you with, and that's more than just the camera. I want to leave you with, as human beings, we owe it to each other. Whether we're a citizen, or whether we carry a gun and a badge. The day that we can respect each other, that's the day all the different laws that we're talking about is laws that has been going in the past. We're working towards that. But meanwhile, until we get there, unfortunately, we will have to have laws that both sides are going to have to abide by in order for us to feel safe and feel comfortable. So again, I appreciate the support. I appreciate everybody here. And anything I can do, I'm going to make sure that when we finish with the law that we finally want to say this is the law that the church is going to go by. It's going to have some of your handprints on it. And I want to thank everyone for giving this opportunity.
It's really wonderful for you to be here. Again, thank you again for your leadership in this area, for your representation, and all you've done for the people of Plainfield. We also are fortunate to have another elected official who's done so much for Plainfield. It's my great pleasure to ask Linda Freeholder to be part of this section.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to take an opportunity to thank Acting Prosecutor Grace Parks for taking the lead in pulling our Union County communities together in a constructive, informative environment like this. It's a positive step in a very challenging environment. As a lifelong resident of Plainfield, I'm very proud of our law enforcement officers here in Plainfield, along with those throughout the Union County. Along with my colleagues, and we have Freeholder Angela Estrada who's here with me tonight, we strongly support the prosecutor's initiatives, specifically the body cameras, and providing the local police departments with the opportunity to embrace new technology. We know technology changes consistently. We have technology that's coming on board, and before, the younger generation, knows the technology a lot faster than we do. But you know what, to embrace the technology, to help them enhance professionalism, build trust within our communities, and this is truly that step forward to doing that. We have to continue the partnerships, the information, and one thing I think everyone believes in is our partnerships that we have developed here in the city of Plainfield, with the mayor is doing, with the assemblyman is doing, with our acting prosecutor is doing, with what our city council is doing. All of us working together along with our citizens is what we're going to be able to do and really make our environment here a community where we are all proud of. The Freeholder Board continues to invest in programs that help every citizen, all of our citizens, to create a stable and productive place for themselves in our community and for us to live. We have so many programs going on. The body camera is just one of them. One of the things that we've done over the past couple of years is our gun buyback program, which we were able to take some of those guns off of the streets right here in Union County, but also within the streets right here in Plainfield. But that's only a small piece of it, okay? We have so many pieces of the pie going on. We have to make sure that we embrace all of them. One of the things that we are truly standing behind is the fact that making sure that our citizens here in Plainfield and Union County are safe, have the programs, and we have the partnerships with all of our communities within our towns. Finally, it is essential to keep in mind that for our work to be effective, we need to deal with the flood of deadly weapons in Union County, the deadly weapons that are here in the state, the deadly weapons that are here within our nations. But the only way we can do that is when we partner with each other, and I think we have a great team. So thank you again for bringing this and having an opportunity for the leaders of our community to come together, to see what you have available, what our law enforcement will be doing, but also educating us on what we need to do and being helped and being able to ask the questions. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Freeholder. I'd like to thank you and the entire board, for that matter, for your support of the body camera policy or initiative in particular. That was a program that the Freeholder Board authorized the prosecutor to use forfeiture funds to help start the program. Prosecutor Clark will be going into greater detail, but without the support of the board, that possibility just wouldn't realize itself. So that's wonderful. Thank you. Lastly, but certainly not least, another partner is somebody who has been a true leader in this initiative, the body cam initiative. I can please ask Mayor Knapp to step to the podium.
Well, Thank you. Thank you to Prosecutor Parks and her entire team. Thanks to Assemblyman Green, to Freeholder Carter, Freeholder Estrada, and to Director Riley, and to everyone who have come together to make this possible. I want to welcome all of you here, members of the governing body, and you leaders here in the city of Plainfield. This is extremely important. As mayor, I took the initiative earlier this year to bring together the community in the face of some of the incidents that have occurred around the nation, to make sure that there is that dialogue between our law enforcement here in the city of Plainfield and the community. And we were very proactive in beginning that dialogue so that the trust can be there, can be enhanced. And so this is just another step in that process. And I am really excited about the fact that this program will be here in the city of Plainfield and that our officers are going to be outfitted with body cameras. I was in a meeting a week or so ago and I made the analogy that I view body cameras as preventative medicine. It prevents a disease from invading law enforcement and from invading the community. And so it's best to always practice preventative medicine measures as opposed to having to find a cure to get rid of the disease. And so I am so excited, so glad that we're going to have our officers outfitted with body cameras so that there's transparency and everyone is held accountable. So again, to the prosecutor and your entire team, to Carl Riley, and to our elected officials, I say thank you, and I look forward to this program really working and creating the confidence between the public and law enforcement and the transparency that is so very much needed. Thank you.
I've also been advised that Councilman Storch just walked in, and he can stand and be recognized, please. With that, if I could turn the mic over to Prosecutor Parks to begin the program.
And I think what we're going to do is Director Riley and I will both present on body cameras. I'll speak a few moments on the body camera program, and then Director Riley will also speak, and then we'll answer any questions about the body camera program, and then we'll move on to the next topic. So why are we here? Why are we initiating a body camera program? Because I don't think it's something that we should step lightly into. We have now devoted $750,000 of forfeiture money, which is money that we seized in illegal transactions, drug transactions, cars, property, and we keep that money and we use it to benefit law enforcement in some way. So none of this money is taxpayer money. It is all money that we seized with respect to forfeiture funds. But we use that money cautiously, and the question is, why are we devoting that to body cameras? Well, early on this year, we really started looking at the technology. Clearly, you've seen a lot of the footage in the media, and I wanted to gauge first law enforcement reaction to it. So what I proposed to the chiefs in the county was, what do you think about body cameras, and what do you think about a pilot? And we did this with some trepidation, frankly, because we thought that the initial reaction of chiefs and of police officers in uniform who have to wear this day in, day out on the job, the reaction would be negative. But frankly, it was overwhelmingly positive. And this is why. We're talking about recording interactions with the community. That's the purpose of it. And really, we're talking about having a record, an objective record of that interaction to the extent that we have to look back. And the officers felt, just as much as the community felt, that they needed that objective record because they felt like that would protect them more than hurt them. Because oftentimes we're not just controlling or providing accountability for the officers, we're also providing accountability for the citizens who accuse officers of certain things. And sometimes those accusations are legitimate. and have some basis, but other times they do not. And so really at the end of the day, they thought that the truth would protect them more than anything, and that's why we have support from a lot of the chiefs in the county. I wouldn't say all, but a lot of the chiefs, including Director Riley, who's extremely progressive. And I think we will have the eventual support of a lot of law enforcement. I know I already have initially much support from law enforcement. So before we go into what's happening, I want to tell you sort of the process by which we developed the program. We talked to every single department in the state that used body cameras. That was about 10 departments, primarily in the South, about their experience with body cameras. We then asked them about their internal affairs investigations, what happened. And the results, the studying really, the results were remarkable. It looked like the study showed that the citizens' complaints decreased between 40 to 90%. And the internal affairs investigations were resolved 100%, meaning you either exonerated or sustained the complaint against the officer in 100% of the investigations. In addition, what was also remarkable was that the departments were also saving money in respect to investigations. So oftentimes, for example, if an officer is accused of excessive force in a situation, there is a huge investigation in internal department. Someone like Director Riley would devote hundreds of man-hours to investigate that particular complaint. It would then be referred to the prosecutor's office. We would then take a look at it. And we were spending an inordinate amount of time. And ultimately, what ended up happening was it was a he said, she said situation. And oftentimes, we couldn't go either way. But in these situations, because there was reporting, these internal affairs investigations were cut short, manpower hours were saved, and there was a significant cost savings. So to the extent that you're concerned about cost, to the taxpayer, at the end of the day, the body cameras, the money devoted to them, studies show that it is actually a cost savings to municipalities at the end of the day. Not only with respect to that, but also with civil liability. And I know you don't want to hear about the lawsuits involved in our litigious society, but there are quite a few against police departments and municipalities with respect to interactions between law enforcement and the community. And those lawsuits often result in humongous settlements because oftentimes you can't get to a resolution because you don't have an account, a credible record of the interaction. And so, oftentimes municipalities are settling for millions of dollars. And we found that as a result, there was savings of millions of dollars as a result of having body cameras. So what does the future hold? The initial pilot of what I thought would be 3 to 4 departments turned into 9 agencies in the county. We have 21 municipalities. We have 8 municipalities participating: Elizabeth, Plainfield, Danwood, Garwood, Linden, Roselle Park, Scott Plains, Mountainside, and the Sheriff's Office. And we're devoting, as I said, $750,000 to fund all of these departments with forfeiture money for the cameras, the initial cost of the cameras, and 1 year of storage. So what we're trying to do is get these departments off the ground with respect to these cameras. And these departments who are participating have then committed to additional years of using the cameras. And Plainfield's committed to 2. Is that right? 5. Okay. Plainfield's committed to 5. I'm mistaken. So really, at the end of the day, the Plainfield government body has decided that they will fund 5 additional years of storage. So what else are we going to do? We're going to equip the officers, and I think Carl, if you want to address that, and right after I speak, and we're going to also study the changes, both in citizen complaints and officer behavior, and we're going to collect this information from all these departments, and then we're going to share it with the rest of the county. Because I believe that once we see these changes, once we see the results, that the non-believers, the chiefs who don't want to be on board now will think about using body cameras. So I'll go ahead and let Carl speak, and then we'll go ahead and show the demonstration video.
Good evening. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone for attending. Really appreciate it. It means a lot to me personally, as well as the citizens here in Plainfield. I'd like to thank members of my command staff here that are present. I'm going to go through it real quick because these individuals are out here every day, every night. They take a lot of phone calls from me during off hours, and we go back and forth, and they've really helped shape the department in the new direction that we're moving forward in. I'd like to thank Captain Saltis, who's here, Captain Brian Newman, Lieutenant Kevin O'Brien, Lieutenant Jeff Plum, Lieutenant Troy Edwards, Sergeant Chris Sylvester, Sergeant Scott Gwynn, Sergeant Larry Brown, and Senior Police Officer Andre Crawford, who's also present. These gentlemen, as well as ladies within the department, are the finest. They're really moving the division forward in the right direction as a team and as a whole, and I really appreciate the support they've given me and the mayor, as well as the city council, and once we came upon to move the place forward. Plainfield's undergoing a major technology upgrade in the city here. We've lacked a lot of technology over the years. That's the past, now this is the present. As the present, we're putting in a new 911 center. We're putting in 30 citywide cameras throughout the city, a real-time crime center that we're working on that's almost complete. In addition, we have GPS systems rolling out in patrol cars. And this body camera system here is going to be a great enhancement and fall right into what we're trying to do. By January of 2016, I anticipate all these projects to be completed. Captain Saltis has a lot on his plate, and we've been working daily, on this moving things forward. In addition to the body cameras, I was with a friend last night, and we were talking, going back and forth, and I was talking about an issue of a police officer having a bit of a problem, and an irate driver, a real irate driver, tore up a traffic summons, and it was bad. It was about a 4 to 5 minute video, but it was an in-car camera video. So upon talking, the way I explained it, they would have never believed it, or nobody would have believed the police officer. So I happened to go to YouTube and able to find a video, and I showed the friend the video, and they said, holy cow, what great restraint the officer showed. Because I truly believe if there was not a body camera there or in-car camera there, and based upon what the individual said, allegations that could have been made could have been problematic for the officer as well as the citizen. So if a complaint came in, it was negated real quick and almost easily. So that's what I'm looking forward to here in Plainfield Police. I believe many of us are professional, but however, we can still become more professional. And I think these body cameras are only going to help the division continue to move forward, as well as evidentiary value, and as well as for the citizens to have a little bit more positive engagement with the police here. I'm not going to go in back and forth and continue what Prosecutor Park said, because it's kind of good to dead horse. She understands. I think she really explained what was going on. So I anticipate by the end of this month, if not sooner, we should be formally rolling out the body camera little by little. And by, I would say, November 1st or mid-November, we'll be fully active with the team to go forward. We do have our cameras on site. We have 92 of them. We put our docking stations all together last week and this week, so it is ready to go, and everybody's ready to be accountable, including me, because it's underneath me, and that's what we're going to do. Thank you.
So really quickly, our Chief of Staff, Tom Kundry, is going to do a quick demonstration of what a body camera looks like and how it works. And then we have a video where we have a simulated interaction between the police department here and a community member. And we just wanted to give you a sense of what the body camera footage looks like, because oftentimes that's the question that we get. So, Tom?
Hang on, Tom, 1 second. Lieutenant Reed's in the back. I forgot him. I apologize. I didn't forget him. I just overlooked. So, Lieutenant Reed's in the back.
Good evening. As Prosecutor Park stated, my name is Tom County. I'm the Chief of Staff for the Union County Prosecutor's Office. I'm very happy and very proud to have worked on this project with not only our office, but all the communities that are involved. Very quickly, this is the body camera that will be worn by the members of the Plainfield Police Division. It is manufactured by Taser International here in the United States. They're based out of Arizona. Currently, their product is in over 3,500 agencies and 52,000 cameras out there. The camera is smaller than a pack of cigarettes and weighs 3.5 ounces. There's several different mounting functions to go anywhere from your pen pocket to the very front of your shirt. One agency has chosen to go with a lapel. When the officer comes on duty, you heard the director mention a docking station. They will remove their camera. Every officer is going to have their own camera. They'll remove their camera from the docking station and they will turn it on. That's where you see that this is red. It will go through a self-check. It will let the officer know that everything's okay by a series of lights and the beep that you heard when I first turned it on when I got here. There's a green blinking light. That means the camera is on, it's functioning, and it's ready to go. The camera has a battery life of easily of 12 hours and has the internal capacity to store an entire shift of video. It records at a video graphics array of 640 by 480, and it has 8 gigabytes of internal storage if there's any tech-savvy people out there. Most importantly, when the camera's on, it's always recording, but does it record the entire time? No. What it does is it has a 30-second buffer. And what that means is that it captures the prior 30 seconds that the officer activates it. That 30 seconds of video prior to the officer actually activating it. Therefore, there's a record of what was going on 30 seconds prior. 30 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but if we sat here in silence for 30 seconds, I think you would agree it's a pretty good amount of time. It's very simple to operate. When the officer wants to turn it on, the actions that have been put into this camera are very deliberate, so it cannot be turned on by accident, it cannot be turned off by accident. To activate the camera, the officer presses this large button twice. You have the beep that tells them it's on, and now that green light is now flashing red. The camera is now recording. It records at a 130-degree angle, so I assure you that everyone in this room right now is within a 130-degree angle. When the officer is done, the call is complete, and he's completely gone from the call. His services are no longer needed, and everyone has left the scene. The officer holds this button down for 3 seconds. That long beep tells the officer that the camera has now stopped recording. So what you have is the recording from the time that I touched it to the time I shut it off, plus the previous 30 seconds that I turned it on. So that's why you will see in the sample video that I will play for you, I'm going to sort of fast forward through it. I don't want you to have to sit here through 30-some seconds of silence. And that's why you'll see I will push it forward. I'd like to play the video for you, and if there's any questions, I think we can get into them.
New Jersey, Baker Alpha Uniform 84 Hotel, maroon colored Chevy Impala, 1 occupant, motor vehicle violation. Good morning, Sergeant Brown, Plainfield Police Division. I see your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance, please.
So what exactly did I do?
I stopped you because you failed to come to a complete stop at the stop sign at the last intersection.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just wasn't thinking.
Okay.
My daughter used the car last. I don't know if I have the insurance card.
Okay, Ms. Owens, continue to look for it, safety to the vehicle, I'll be right back. If you find it, just hold it up out the window for me. Okay, Ms. Owens, you found it?
Yes, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay, Ms. Owens, everything seems to be in order. I'm going to give you a warning for the stop sign violation, but in the future you need to pay more attention to stuff like that, because that causes a lot of accidents. Okay, here you go.
Thank you so much.
You have to take that.
Just to give you a sense, generally, the body camera, there will be a policy in the department, and the
Can't hear
officers will
you.
be held accountable. Sorry, can you not hear me? There will be, there's a aging directive that mandates when the body camera needs to be turned off, turned on, when it needs to be activated, and the certain situations where it can be turned off. And generally, the body cameras need to be turned on every single time there's a call service. So if there's any interaction or potential interaction with the community, that's when the body cameras will be activated. And as Tom demonstrated, the way that the officer will be activating them. So I just wanted to take any questions on the body cameras before we proceed.
Okay, so I'm a community person, I'm walking down the street. I use a real life situation. I was walking down the street on 2nd Street and it was 3 and I had to say the Spanish guys across the street, so I heard bitch. So I didn't look, and then I hear, I'm talking to you. And so when I went to look, they were right up on my back. Now, if I had taken my cell phone out of that time and called the police, and the police came, would they have had to cut on the camera at that time when they interacted with me in the whole scenario?
Yes, so if you had called the police and they were responding to a call for service by a community member, they'd be activating the body cameras.
Okay.
Yes.
If an officer responds to a call, is it permissible to ask if you could see the camera, if it's operating?
It is permissible for you to ask whether or not there's a body camera operating, and the officer is required to answer truthfully. So according to agent directive, they can't lie about it, they have to tell you whether or not it's on or off.
Can I ask to see that it's flashing red?
Can you ask whether or not? I think you could probably see it, right? Yeah.
You can see it?
I think so, but
In some instances, it's visible to the officer. It's not necessarily visible to the citizen. I would imagine in most instances, if a police officer is engaged in any police action, he's not going to take the time to start demonstrating. He's going to be there to do his job.
That is not a demonstration question. That's just
no, I understand. So your concern is, how do we ensure that the officers actually turn them on, which is a legitimate question. There will be a policy within the department that the officers will have to abide by. If they violate that policy, and they will be audited, Carl can probably talk about that, the director can talk about that. And if the director finds there's a violation, they will be exposed to some sort of administrative action, and if there's a willful violation, it actually gets referred to the prosecutor's office. They will have to deal with the prosecutor's office with respect to punishment, with respect to some violation that you're talking about.
And just like the prosecutor said, there will be a policy to dictate when to turn the camera on and off. And however, my professional standards bureau, as well as our supervisors directly, will monitor those actions and do spot checks, determining if they were in violation or not. If they were in violation due to accident or purposeful, it'll be dealt with accordingly. It's that simple. It's just that simple. If you as a citizen ask me, if I respond to a call, sir, do you have a body camera? Is it activated? Yes, sir, it is activated. That's our policy and procedure. I'm speaking to you, it is activated. Let's continue on. And we would just move forward and continue dealing with what we have to deal with. The officer will be polite, will be professional, but depending on the nature of the call, he or she is not going to engage you and go back and forth about why the body camera's on or off. Period. End of story. That's the way it's going to be, just to keep us moving forward. Because that becomes a safety issue for you as a citizen as well as the officer themselves. All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
Will the department be doing random checks?
Yes, sir. That's what I said, yes. Yes.
Here's a question back there.
That the officer will advise the person that the officer staff that he or she will be reported.
They don't always have to, but they will have body cameras on them. They do not have to advise them they're being recorded. They're going to get out, they're going to activate their cameras, and they're going to continue on. If somebody asks them, are they being recorded, they will say, yes, ma'am, you are being recorded, and they will continue to proceed on. Yes, ma'am.
Will the body cameras also be utilized when officers are doing their side jobs, like when utilities, or they just strictly when they are, on duty for the city, or are they also for, because it goes through council resolution and like the utility company, things like that, are they also utilized at that point, or when they're utilized at the school?
As of right now, I'm not going to have them use it on side jobs, but I will have them on schools during school resource officers will have them. Once they engage into some sort of issue or problem in the school, they will have it.
There is, just to let you know, there is, to the extent there are concerns with respect to children being videotaped. If children are videotaped, we actually tag that video, and the access to it is extremely restricted. So there are provisions within the policy to restrict any access to video recordings of children.
And that goes the same thing with prisoners, in hospitals and situations like that. There's a medical type concern with certain things, and that will be dictated in policy as well. Yes, sir.
Yes. How many cameras do you anticipate having on your force initially with the pilot program?
92. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Who will view videos when an alleged situation occurs?
When an alleged situation occurs,
Yes, who's the first person to view the video?
the officer will have access to write his report. However, he cannot or she cannot delete it. Then their supervisors will have access as well as professional standards, which is internal affairs. In addition, I will have another administrator to be able to download and make sure files are transferred, which these individuals there will not be able to have that. There will be a captain or another supervisor will have access to download the actual videos for evidentiary value.
Archive for how long?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So all video will be archived for at least a minimum of 90 days. Any arrest that doesn't result in a charge, that video will be archived until the statute of limitations expires on a civil complaint. Any internal affairs complaint video, the video the subject of internal affairs complaint, it needs to be archived until the end of the internal affairs complaint. Anything involving a criminal investigation needs to be archived until the end of that investigation, all the way to appeal. So we're trying to ensure that all the video that's relevant will be stored and archived appropriately.
And storage is real easy. The officers will not store it personally. As soon as, like I said, Mr. Coundry stated, as soon as you dock it into the station, it automatically goes into storage mode. And like I said, then they'll be able to handle accordingly from there.
Would any of that information be available through Oprah?
I'll let the prosecutor answer this question.
It would be would the video recordings be subject to Oprah? And for those of you who do not know what Oprah is, it's the basically the Open Records Act that provides public access to government records. We would take it case by case. There are certain records, certain video that would be open to the public, but there are certain exceptions under Oprah. I don't know if you filed an Oprah request, but there are certain exceptions that protects video involving victims' privacy rights, for instance, one. Two, if there's an ongoing criminal investigation, to protect the integrity of the investigation, we don't provide the video during the time of the investigation. And there are other issues that we look at to make sure that we're abiding by the law. Essentially, there's a statute out there that we enforce, and we turn over video according to that statute. And just to let you know, the storage, it was a great question on the storage. The storage requirements are dictated by each directive. So this is statewide, and the Oprah statute is also statewide as well. So this is not something that I'm dictating and making up my own rules. It's statewide.
I'm not sure if I heard you correctly about the red, black, and white. Did you say that all of the cameras have it, or some of the cameras not?
You know what?
The cameras have the flashing light that's an indicator for the officer that the camera is either being turned on or off. The light, though, is not visible to the person who would be photographed, and it's really primarily an officer safety concern. If you think about officers engaged in certain activities after night in a high-risk situation, the last thing we want is a light flashing from the officer, basically identifying where he is. If he was pursuing a suspect in something, going through any sort of residential structure, where he's looking for a burglar, you don't want him lit up. The light is visible to the officer, I believe, but not to anyone within the viewing area. And that's intentional in that regard. I think for citizens of Plainfield, you should just assume if you encounter a police officer in Plainfield performing his duties, you're being recorded. There are specific.
Well, I think the issue is that people are afraid that it won't be recorded. That's what the real issue is.
No, but I think that was addressed earlier by Director Audie, because it's very easy to make determinations that that isn't done. I mean, that isn't done, and they'll be subject to disciplinary action if they fail to do that.
Really quickly, before we move on, I just want to introduce who's speaking. Tim Eisenhower is with the Union County Prosecutor's Office. He's our first assistant, so basically he helps me run the office. Mark Spivey is also our public information officer, also with our office. And I just wanted to point out one other person who's sitting in the back, John Esmerado. He's waving, is our head of special prosecutions, and he would be dealing with investigations involving officers. So we thought it would be appropriate for him to be here in case you have any detailed questions about that.
From what I can surmise by the video, you do have audio as well as the video, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Now, we know that any system that's created by man can be manipulated also. Now, we have a system of justice that's supposed to be just. When someone challenges whatever the encounter was, how do we assure